My first signing on Enigma was a band called Berlin, but Enigma missed one quite deliberately because one morning I came into work and the receptionist for Greenworld said, I've got a friend who's got an album and would like to bring it to you. And this girl, by the way, was the very first female I'd ever seen with tattoos. She was an interesting girl. And I said, sure, have them come round. And a couple of days later, I look out of my goldfish bowl of an office and I see this, I think it was a 1957, it was either a 56 or a 57 Bentley, white Bentley drawer, and that got my attention. I thought, who has got the class to drive a 57 Bentley? And it looked immaculate. And this guy came striding into my office, threw a record onto my desk, sat in a chair, put his feet on my desk, and the very first words out of his mouth before, hello, I am so-and-so, the very first words out of his mouth were, I want you to do for me what you did for Motley Crue. And I went, well, how do you do? I take it you're Don Dokken. That's what it said on his album. And I said, well, leave the record with me. I took the record, listened to it, called Don back into the office, and I said to him, I can't sign you. And his face was a picture, and he looked at me and he said, you mean you fucking signed Motley Crue and you can't sign me, but my record's better? And I said, yeah, better engineering, better arrangements, more consistent songwriting, better playing, everything about it is better, but I cannot sign you. And he said, why not? And I said, how old are you? He kind of looked a bit crestfallen. He said, I'm 30. I said, that, Don, is why I cannot sign you, because if I sign you to this label here, now you're going to be stuck on it for at least 2 or 3 years, and you need to be on a major label right now. You're too old for me to sign. I could not do it in good conscience. And I said, leave the record with me and I'll see what I can do. So for a month and a half, I badgered Zoot out to pick up the record and signed on. And he was kind of, I don't know. He'd made one signing. He wanted to see how it goes. And he'd introduced me to Cliff Bernstein. Tom had introduced me to Cliff Bernstein. And I said, well, do you mind if I approach Cliff? He goes, of course not. So I sent the record to Cliff and didn't get much of a response back from him. Then about a week or so later, I get this phone call from Cliff, and there used to be this really, I'm damned if I can remember, used to be this really cool record store in Boston where they sold the best and the imports. I mean, it was a mom and pop. It wasn't a chain store. And Cliff was calling me from this record store, and he said, can you hear what I'm listening to? And I said, vaguely. He said, I walked in here and I'm listening and I'm going, this is really good. And he said, I suddenly realized it's the same record you sent me. Have Don call me. So I called Don and said, here's Cliff's number. He wants to talk to you. And Cliff and Peter picked him up. Cliff and Peter picked him up. Suddenly, Elektra and Tom Zoot out were, okay, we're good. Cliff and Peter are involved. We're signing Don. So in a way, I did for him what I did for Motley.